There's a new product category that's emerging, and I need you to stay away from it. In the past, 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen two brand new sort of product category defining new pieces of hardware that have entered the market, and I really am asking you guys, just don't buy these. This is a product market that reminds me sort of like the last time I really was against what is being announced was I think 3D TVs, right? To put the glasses on and other crazy things. But in the past couple weeks, we've seen two products announced, the Logitech GCloud, and now we also have the Razer's Edge. And I'm honestly curious at this point if this is a new product category that's going to start flourishing. But as of today, I really think we should be staying away from these products. And let me just dive in, because I know some people are going to be like, well, you're just trying to beat up an existing market or a vendor or whatever. And it's none of that. One, because they come from Logitech. I use Logitech products all the time, and I've purchased plenty of Razer gear over the years. That being said, let's kind of dive into this product category and why it's such a problem. So first off is the older, quote unquote, older entrant, the Logitech GCloud, $349. You're getting 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. There's micro SD. There's a Qualcomm 720G processor, Wi-Fi only. And for $349, you get a USB-C. You also get 450 nits of brightness, whatever, 1920 by 1080 display, blah, 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 blah. Really, the point here is that this is a cloud streaming only device. You are going to be streaming stuff from the cloud, mainly Microsoft's cloud gaming service, maybe GeForce Now, potentially maybe some in-home streaming, but it's a companion product. It's not a primary product. You're not going to be you need other services to make the Logitech GCloud work. Now, it's got some impressive battery life, 12 hours. You might be saying that's perfectly fine for Microsoft's cloud streaming. But let's put it this way, my friends. As of today, Microsoft still considers cloud gaming to be a feature, not a product. Meaning it is something that is it's nice to have. It's not necessarily what they're selling every single time you buy Game Pass Ultimate, but hey, it's available. And by Microsoft's own admission in their UK filings, they said cloud streaming of games is really low. And we all know what happened to Stadia. So it's okay, there's a reason why it's low. It's not perfect. Yes, it works for some style of games, but first-person shooters, which is the majority of what a lot of people play these days, it's not great. I would not even think about trying to run a League of Legends over something like this. That would be even crazier than a first-person shooter. All that being said, this thing that you're looking at right now is $349. The product, and I should say brand, that more people associate with gaming is Razer. And so let's take a look here at what they have announced. Now, granted, this thing is a much beefier sort of handheld device. It's running Android 12. It's running a Snapdragon G3X Gen 1. It's got a 3 gigahertz, 8-core Qualcomm Cairo CPU. It's got an Adreno GPU. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, 128 freaking gigs of storage. It's a 6.8-inch touch AMOLED display at 144 hertz, 2400 by 1080. This is a high-end gaming tablet. Keyword there, my friends, is this thing is not a phone. It's like a tablet. In fact, so much that when you buy this thing, what you're actually buying is a phone without the phone functionality, and then it's a Razer Kishi on the side. Now, I have no issues with the Razer Kishi. It's a good piece of hardware, but what you're just buying here is just a small 6.8-inch tablet, because this thing will set you back starting price of $399. $399 to get this, and there will be a 5G version, but this is not the 5G version. It's going to cost you more. I'm betting it's about $100 more. That's typically what we see in the market. And so for, let's just say $499, you are going to be getting the 5G version. But again, this is primarily focused at cloud gaming services. But I think there's a catch here, at least with the Razer's Edge, which again, I can't really recommend from the bottom of my heart, because it does run Android 12, because it does have a good amount of storage, and because it does fairly have a good amount of CPU performance. This could actually be a great device for emulation. For local gameplay, I think this device might be fine. If what you're playing is a lot of Android games, potentially some of the Call of Duty mobiles or something like that, this might be a good device if you don't have a great cell phone. I'm not personally convinced that gaming cell phones are really a thing, to be honest. And so if you don't have a later gen phone, then this might be a viable option to kind of hold you off, but you're also banking on Razer supporting this thing for a decent amount of time and giving it updates and giving it the support that, hey, the market actually requires. So from these two devices, when you've got the Logitech and then you've got the, coming at the Logitech at $349 is rough. And then you have the Razer version, which is at $399. So $399 versus $349, it's a no-brainer to get the Razer Edge Wi-Fi if you are even thinking about these, which I don't think, honestly, many people should, because, again, it's just a Razer Kishi slapped to a phone, non-phone, if you will. All that being said, the Kishi or the Razer version is better if this is what you want, but please don't buy this for cloud streaming, because cloud streaming, playing Halo and anything like that and cloud streaming, it's good, but it's not great. You're going to get a better experience, not to mention it's $399. And so you're paying a lot to not get everything that you're going to want. This is primarily a device at $399, by the way. Both products are for walking around the house. So if your house doesn't have an Xbox console or you need that second screen, you're going to be paying a serious premium. And if you're paying $399 for a second screen, buy a Series S, because you're already at home. Hopefully you have a monitor or TV that's not being used, and you will end up happier. I promise you will end up being happier than these things. Now, the other major thing to consider that is not in either of these products is the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck starts at $399. The Steam Deck is fundamentally, in my opinion, a better product. What you really need to come down to is, are you buying it for game emulation? If yes, that's perfectly reasonable. Make sure you're abiding by all legalities. I don't know the details of that stuff. Just do whatever you got to do. If you are buying it for that purpose, what you need to come down to is, do you want your emulators to run on Android, or do you want them to run on Windows? If you want them to run on Windows, Steam Deck is your best option and realistically your only option. If you want them to run on Android, well, the Razer's Edge seems like a good product, with the major caveat that you don't have a high-end phone in your pocket, meaning if you have like one of the later gen Samsung phones, the S20 and Plus and all the versions they have come out with, you're probably better off just getting a Kishi, slapping it on there, because you're going to get the same experience. My problem with this product category is I hate to kind of poo-poo on something that's trying to build up a streaming infrastructure for, the hardware that's going to take advantage of GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming, but the services just aren't there yet. And we know that the business market for these things is kind of dicey. I mean, Google just bowed out. Now, granted, Google kills a lot of products, so maybe they're not the best example. And Amazon has Luna, and we know Netflix is poking around in these woods. And Microsoft is obviously, in my opinion, the class leader, but you can't ignore what NVIDIA is doing as well. But again, these are all features, not products. So if you're buying it because it'd be nice to have, then that's one thing. But buying, I'm worried that people who are going to buy a GCloud or Razer's Edge to primarily saying like, look, I don't want to buy a console. I want to just play Xbox on a mobile thing only. You're going to be not happy with the experience. It continues, in my opinion, to be good for games like Minecraft Dungeons, where it's a single player campaign only. You're probably okay in that regard. But if you're looking for competitive shooters and you just want to casually play some Call of Duty online, you're better off buying an Xbox Series S. It's at $299. Target had it for $249 at that price point. And if you're only buying the Wi-Fi version of the Razer's Edge, we don't know the 5G version, and GCloud doesn't even appear to offer it, you're spending more money to be able to sit at home and play this stuff. Now, you might be saying, but Brad, I'm going to take this in a hotel and play it. Well, first off, joke's on you thinking that hotel Wi-Fi is even going to be remotely good for this sort of thing. And they might block it eventually. Who knows, just if it takes up too much bandwidth. Either way, I'm not sold on these handhelds that are dedicated to cloud streaming. It's not there yet. The products are good, but not great. You need to find them, the use case that makes them a secondary reason to buy them, meaning you're running emulation or you're running games locally. And if you can't run games locally, then you're not going to be happy with this sort of handheld product, especially if you're watching this channel. Most of the people watching this are more on the higher end competitive gamer, really like the best experience possible, and you're just not going to get that. And I worry that companies trying to make this segment a reality today are going to leave a lot of consumers stranded high and dry. So there you go. I'd be curious to see if anybody has any other reasons besides potentially emulation or just playing native Android games why you would buy the Razer's Edge, because at the end of the day, it's just a Kishi, and the Kishi is pretty good. It's Kishi slapped to a mid-grade, maybe mid to high-grade tablet that's not a phone. And if you want a phone, buy a phone. That's kind of my advice. There you go. If you want to stay updated on all the BS that's happening in the world of Xbox and beyond, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.